Well, hi everyone. I'm going to start tonight with just a little piece of really Christmassy story, an excerpt from A Christmas Carol. Charles Dickens wrote this story in just 6 weeks. So all you people out there who are writers, just think about that. And he finished it in early December 1843. It was a huge success, of course, and a great influence on rejuvenating the old Christmas traditions in England. The story, as I'm sure you know, is of the miserly Ebenezer Scrooge, transformed overnight into a better man by supernatural visits. First, of course, from his dead partner, Jacob Marley, and then by the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. The story brings us images of darkness and despair, but it finishes with images of lightness and joy, of warmth and love. So here is this brief excerpt when Mrs. Cratchit brings out the rather small Christmas pudding. Hello! A great deal of steam. The pudding was out of the copper. A smell like a washing day. That was the cloth. A smell like an eating house, and a pastry cook's next door to each other, with a laundress's next door to that. That was the pudding. In half a minute, Mrs. Cratchit entered, flushed, but smiling proudly, with the pudding like a speckled cannonball, so hard and firm, blazing in half of a half of a half of a quarter of ignited brandy, and decorated with Christmas holly on the top. Oh, what a wonderful pudding, Bob Cratchit said calmly, and he regarded it as the greatest success achieved by Mrs. Cratchit since their marriage. Mrs. Cratchit said that now the weight was off her mind, she would confess she had had her doubts about the quantity of flour. Everybody had something to say about it, but nobody said or thought it was at all a small pudding for such a large family. It would have been flat heresy to do so, and Cratchit would have blushed to hint at such a thing. At last, the dinner was done. The dinner was cleared, the hearth swept, and the fire made up. The compound in the jug being tasted and considered perfect, apples and oranges were placed upon the table, and a shovel full of chestnuts upon the fire. Then all the Cratchit family drew around the hearth, in what Bob Cratchit called a circle, meaning half a one, and at Bob Cratchit's elbow stood the family display of glass, 2 tumblers and a custard cup without a handle. These held the hot stuff from the jug, just as well as the golden goblets would have done, and Bob served it out with beaming looks, while the chestnuts on the fire sputtered and crackled noisily. And then Bob proposed, "A Merry Christmas to it all, my dears, God bless us," which all the family echoed.
God bless us, everyone, said Tiny Tim, last of all.
Our next piece, after such a delightful Christmas story, is a well-known carol, The 12 Days of Christmas, sung by Valerie here, of course. However, as we'll soon find out, Christmas isn't as cheap as it used to be.
On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 12 drummers drumming.
Wait, 12 of them? Let's see on my iPad, that's $1,620.
11 pipers piping.
11 of those too? That's $2,200.
10 lords a leaping.
Expensive, you know, those houses of lords. 13,373.
9 ladies dancing.
Ladies, not as expensive as those lords. 8,322.
8 maids a milking.
That's more like it. A mere $339.
7 swans a swimming.
Oh no, not swans, those are protected. Oh, and the Queen owns them. $10,500.
6 geese a laying.
Another $1,140.
5 gold rings.
I'll get a thin ones. 874.
4 calling birds.
Collie birds, they'll do. $470.
3 French hens.
Oh, another $315.
2 turtle doves.
More expense. When will this end? Add another $365.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Both together, a mere bagatelle at $240. A quick total of $39,762. Ah, but wait. She repeats the verse, doesn't she? Each time. No. Oh, $173,410. She can sing all she likes. I'm going in search of a cheaper woman.
But I'm worth it. Christmas does seem to have become rather commercial. So this is a poem by that very funny lady, Pam Ayres, and it's called Goodwill to Men, Give Us Your Money. It was Christmas Eve on a Friday. The shops was full of cheer, with tinsel in the windows and presents twice as dear. 1,000 Father Christmases sat in their little huts, and folk was buying crackers, and folk was buying nuts. All up and down the country before the light was snuffed, turkeys, they got murdered, and cockerels, they got stuffed. Christmas cakes got marzipaned, and puddings, they got steamed. Mothers, they got desperate, and tired kiddies screamed. 100 weights of Christmas cards went flying through the post, with first-class postage stamps on those you had to flatter most. Within 1 million kitchens, mince pies was being made. On everybody's radio, White Christmas it was played. Out in the frozen countryside, men crept round on their own, hacking off the holly what other folks had grown. Mistletoe on willow trees was by a man wrenched clear, so he could kiss his neighbour's wife he'd fancied all the year. And out upon the hillside where the Christmas trees had stood, all was completely barren, but for little stumps of wood. The little trees that flourished all the year were there no more, but in 1 million houses dropped their needles on the floor. And out of every cranny, cupboard, hiding place and nook, little pikes and kiddies' trikes was secretively took. Yards of wrapping paper was rustled round about, and bikes were wheeled to bedrooms with the pedals sticking out. Rolled up in Christmas paper, the action men were tense, all ready for the morning with their fighting life commence. With Tommy guns and daggers all clustered round about, peace on earth, goodwill to men, the figures seemed to shout. The church was standing empty, the pub was standing packed. There came a yell, Noel, Noel, and glasses they got cracked. From up above the fireplace, Christmas cards began to fall, and trodden on the floor said, Merry Christmas to you all. Potluck lunch, who knows? It's called How to Make a Dish of Snow. And it's from a 1594 English cookbook, and unfortunately the author is unknown. Take a pottle of sweet, thick cream and the white of 8 eggs, and beat them all together with a spoon. Then put them into your cream with a dishful of rose water, and a dishful of sugar withal. Then take a stick and make it clean, and then cut it in the end 4 square, and therewith beat all the aforesaid things together, and ever as it ariseth take it off, and put it to a colander. This done, take a platter, and settle an apple in the midst of it. Stick a thick bush of rosemary in the apple. Then cast your snow upon the rosemary and fill your platter therewith. And if you have wafers, cast some withal, and so serve them forth.
To finish, we'd like to share with you, given that this is an Anglo-American group, an American poem, the most famous one perhaps, for Christmas, written by Clement Clark Moore, of course, in 1822. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas would be there.
The children were nestled all snug in their beds, with visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mamma in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap.
When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters, and threw up the sash.
The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave the lustre of midday to objects below, when what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer.
With a little old driver, so lively and quick. I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name.
Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all.
As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with the sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too.
And then, in a twinkling, I heard, on the roof, the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound.
He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack.
His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up in a bow, and the beard of his chin was white as the snow.
The stump of a pipe he held tight into his teeth, and then a smoke had encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly.
He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread.
He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose.
He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight,
Merry, happy Christmas to all,
and to all a good night.